Welcome to a new episode of the ITU Journal webinar series, where you can find insights and forward-looking research on future and evolving technologies. The ITU Journal is an international journal providing complete coverage of all communications and networking paradigms, free of charge for both readers and authors. This publication considers yet-to-be-published papers addressing fundamental and applied research, building bridges between disciplines, connecting theory with application, and stimulating international dialogue. Its interdisciplinary approach reflects ITU's comprehensive field of interest and explores the convergence of ICT with other disciplines. We count on your support to make this webinar an interesting experience. Please submit your questions via the Q&A channel at the bottom of your screen. All questions from the audience will be taken during the Q&A session after the talk. The meeting is being recorded and the recording will be made available on the webinar website. Closed captioning is also available for this event. You can enable this by clicking on the closed caption icon at the bottom of your screen. We hope that you will enjoy the talk and we encourage you to stay connected until the end for the Wisdom Corner. I will now give the floor to our Master of Ceremonies.
Hello, and welcome to the webinar series with industry leaders of the IT Journal on Future and Evolving Technologies. My name is Alessia Magliarditi from ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, United Nations Specialized Agency for Information and Communication Technologies. It is my pleasure to open today the webinar with Mr. Ewaldsson, T-Mobile's President of Technology. After the Q&A session, as just announced by our avatar, I will moderate the Wisdom Corner, live life lessons, so please stay online. Mr. Ewaldsson agreed to a personal chat. He will share with us some lessons learned over the years that might perhaps be useful for some of you. It is my honor to give the floor to Mr. Seizo Onoe, Director of the ITU Telecommunication Standardization Bureau, for his welcome remarks. Onoe-san, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to you all. This special series of ITU webinars with industry leaders share unique insights on the evolution of our networks and prospects for the future. In our links from NTT Docomo, Deutsche Telekom, GSMA, Nokia, and China Mobile, the dominant theme have been 5G, 6G, and network intelligence. These themes entail a very broad scope of innovation. Our talks from industry leaders have covered a lot of ground, and I will encourage you to review them on our website. Today, Ulf Ewaldsson, President of Technology at T-Mobile US, will guide us through T-Mobile's 5G innovations and the strategy behind the company's extraordinary growth in recent years. 5G systems have created exciting innovation opportunities for network operators. How T-Mobile took advantage of these opportunities is a story of great relevance to the ambitions of other operators around the world. Ulf Ewaldsson, thank you very much for sharing your story with us. We highly appreciate your support. These talks from CTOs are presented by the ITU Journal on Future and Evolving Technologies. Our journal embodies ITU's commitment to the public interest. It is unique in publishing top-tier papers at no charge to authors and readers. We enjoy outstanding leadership from our editor-in-chief, Ian Acheldis, and I will encourage you to read out to Professor Acheldis with any questions you may have about how you could get involved. We welcome research on all topics all year around. Our most recent issues released last month explores innovations of networks to achieve high performance, energy efficiency, and security while serving a diverse range of devices. It continues our journal's coverage of growing influence of AI, machine learning, and automation on communication and networking. Upcoming issues are set to address satellite constellations and connectivity from space, intelligence technologies for future networks and distributed systems, AI and machine learning solutions in 5G and future networks. We are also currently welcoming contributions to special issues on generative AI for sustainable development. Alongside the ITU Journal, ITU Kaleidoscope Conference, ITU Academia membership are another two key avenue for academics to engage in ITU's work. The next edition of the ITU Kaleidoscope Academics Conference will be held in October in New Delhi, India, in conjunction with the governing conference for ITU Standardization, the World Telecommunication Standardization Assembly. ITU Academia membership help to reinforce academia's work with industry on research and development, and in bringing the latest innovations to market. Contributions from our academia members brings greater strength to the work of ITU and greater impact to research to the mutual benefit of academia and industry. Our international standards, for example, support for the global adoption of the solutions developed in collaboration by academia and industry, boosting return on investment for both. We also supplement our membership-driven work with open frameworks such as ITU focus groups and initiatives like AI for Good, United for Smart Sustainable Cities, and the global initiative on AI for Health. These frameworks, as well as our open workshops, aim to give everyone the opportunity to influence our work. I welcome you to join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Onoe-san. It is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Ulf Ewaldsson, who is T-Mobile's President of Technology, responsible for the management and development of T-Mobile's wireless network, the company's information technology services, and technology operations. Previously, Ulf served as Executive Vice President and Chief Network Officer at T-Mobile, during which he managed a nationwide team that builds, operates, and maintains T-Mobile's network with the goal of providing an outstanding customer experience. Ulf joined T-Mobile in 2019 to lead and transform T-Mobile's 5G network deployment. He previously had served in leadership positions at Ericsson, including as Chief Technology Officer, Chief Strategy Officer, and the Head of Radio Business and Head of Business Area Digital Services. Thank you for joining us, Ulf. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you very much indeed. Coming live from Bellevue, where is our headquarters in the United States this morning. I am honored to be part of the ITU webinar. So very excited to be here. And thank you so much for inviting me and tell a little bit about the story of this amazing company, T-Mobile US. We are kind of a startup mentality, and I know that many carriers are speaking on the ITU journal, but we call ourselves the uncarrier, and I'll explain that. So we went out to the market already 2013. We had at that time a 3G network, And we went out to the market and we started to speak about what a broken industry, telecom industry, is from a consumer point of view. And let me start there before I go into our technologies, because it's so instrumental to how our company operates and how we are as a culture. And I don't know who is, if you can see the slides, I cannot do that, but somebody has shifted maybe to the first slide. Okay, here we go. So I call this from challenger to champion, the evolution of the Un-carrier. And if we go to the next slide, I'll just show you some glimpse of what we've done in the market, which has changed so many things for us as a company. We've launched something called Simple Choice. And Simple Choice was when we took away all contracts in the US, unheard of. People could just sign up without a contract to what we had. We introduced Jump, where you could just choose any device you wanted without having to sign special contracts for it, and you could just get it where you wanted it. T-Mobile Tuesdays was introduced. It was like a thank you to our customers. And it's a unique thing. Not many maybe who live outside the US it's something like this. But it means basically that you can go into a store somewhere and you can redeem points from what you're doing on your mobile service. I know there is a story when we had Pizza Hut for free. Pizza Hut's a major pizza company here in the US. And a lot of people used their opportunity as T-Mobile customers to run into a Pizza Hut and get the pizza for free. It went so far that the pizza dough in Pizza Hut actually ran out, which shows all in the whole nation. So it shows the power of what we're doing here. All of these Un-carrier moves started back in 2013 and has then moved up to today. And still, people, our customers, we have about 120 million customers, are waiting for these moves to move and what we are offering in terms of discounts and what we're doing in the Un-carrier spirit. If you go to the next slide, you will see how simple our company operates in terms of strategy. We say that we have the best value, and the best value is that we're known in the US as a value brand. And value brand means a lot of the Un-carrier stuff that I talked about before, but it's also things like price lock and making sure that people can guarantee to get the best price. Really a value player. And we're safeguarding that position very, very carefully. Second, we have the best network. And yes, we do. And I think we're starting to be really famous in the world for having the best 5G network. I'll talk a little bit about why our network is so extremely good. And then the last one is the best experience. We're making sure, and we're dedicated to make sure that the customer experience always is the best. We keep tuning this network minutiously, day and night, to make sure that customers always have the best experience. And in terms of technology advancements, we are pushing the vendors that are supplying us to the brink of what they can actually perform. I happen to work, as you said before, at one of the vendors, so I know what it means to have a lead customer that can present the best technology at any point in the network. So best value, best network, best experience. That's our simple strategy. And why it's so good is because who wouldn't choose the best product for the lowest price? That's kind of a formula that works for growth. And that's one of the secrets behind why T-Mobile keep growing and why we moved up to a championship position. If you look at our history on the next slide of technology, then we launched in 2007 3G. We launched in 2013. If you go back one slide, please. There, our history. Thank you. We launched 4G in 2013. And then we started something that became so important for us. We started to invest in low band. So we invested in low band frequency in 2014. You can see the little bubble there saying when the Un-carrier move started. That's on our marketing side. And then in 2015 and 16, we continued. And 2017, we acquired 600 megahertz, which is a very low and nice frequency. Now, all we needed now was to strengthen our mid-band frequency. And our strategy was to build a low band combined with a very strong mid-band, what we call the breadth and the depth of a radio access network. A perfect radio access network has the ability to penetrate buildings, to go around corners, to get into areas, to have vast propagation in the countryside of a vast nation like the US. But you also need the depth of the network. And the depth of the network can never come from the low band. There's simply not enough frequency there. So you need a very deep frequency on the mid band. And that's why the brilliance of this merger came up. And the merger went through with Sprint in 2020. Sprint was a company that had all that mid band. They had more than 200 megahertz of 2.5 spectrum, which could be combined with 1900, 1800, with a low band on 700, 800, and 600. And you get this very, very nice layered network that can produce results like nothing else. And then the merger was completed very quickly. We upgraded towers all over the country, more than 80,000 towers. We moved from having 40,000 towers to 80,000 towers. So just an enormous achievement. And did it pay off? It sure paid off, because US is a vast country, but we have 5G everywhere now. And that's why I want to show you the map. If you go to the next slide, you can see exactly what that map looks like. It's a map of significant improvement on the network. And you can see here that almost the whole country is covered. And for those who are familiar with US geography, you could see that there are some black spots to the left, but those are actually mountains. And there are some black spots in the north part, but that's actually lakes. So the majority of the country is fully covered with 5G. And it's a tremendous experience. We have more than twice as much median downlink speeds on our radio access network than any of our competition has. We have also more coverage on 5G than both our major competitors in this country together. So it shows that this investment has really paid off. About $40 billion has been invested in this network on the back of this fantastic merger, creating the new T-Mobile. If you know, the US has about 334 million people. We are covering today with our network 331 million people, 330 million people with 5G, which is just an outstanding achievement. Out of those, now here it is, the depth, remember the depth, the mid-band covers more than 300 million. Which is an enormous achievement, thinking about the propagation that mid-band has compared to low band. And this is 2.5 I'm talking about. We call it ultra capacity, UC. The ultra capacity system part of this network is delivering these amazing downlink speeds. I would say on average that we have, when you move around in the 5G areas, you have more than 280 megabits per second on average wherever you are in this 5G connectivity, which makes us one of the absolute leading 5G systems in the world, which is benefiting customers on a daily basis. Remember, our strategy is based on having the best value, the best network, and the best experience. And we're adding all of these together. What now then? What is the next thing we're focusing on? And that's why I wanted to show you another graph here. If you go to the next, just showing up the domains that we have here. The domain we have talked mostly about now is the radio access system. The domain I haven't talked so much about is our core network and our applications and exposure. We have a total standalone implementation since all the way back to 2020 when we launched standalone. And as we are familiar with in the ITU context, standalone is a nice standard that came with 5G, but not been very widely adopted globally. But we decided to go all in on 5G from the very beginning. And we decided to adopt standalone from the very beginning, which means that we have launched VONAR in this network. And we are very close to have nationwide VONAR working across the entire network. On the standalone, it gives it possibilities for us to introduce network slicing, as well as orchestration of the entire service end-to-end from device to cloud. This is something that we are benefiting from already. And I will just tell you that we are already offering to many customers the ability to do slicing in our network. One of the best examples may be when we did Formula One, for example, in Las Vegas. I don't know if anyone noticed, there was a Formula One race in Las Vegas. T-Mobile went in and got the sponsorship for that and were able to launch network slicing to be able to provide services for T-shirt sellers, for beer stands, for all kinds of activities around this fantastic race without being disturbed by 30, 40 million customers who were using the apps to watch drivers and others, to secure a service while there is so much going on in the network, which is really one of the main purposes of network slicing. We have also started to build an exposure environment so that others can make use of our network and design their own services on top of it. The future for us is very much based on AI and using AI across the entire operations of the network, but also very much using AI to provide new services to companies out there. As you know, in the US, a lot of companies are now focusing on AI and they are digitalizing. And as they are digitalizing, their edge of their networks become more and more relevant. And we get shorter connectivity between the clouds and the devices, which is something we are focusing high on. I will just close by, if you go to the next slide, saying that we are so excited about this network. It is a platform for innovation in the country where a lot of that innovation is just about to happen. US, there is no doubt that there is boiling of innovation around clouds, around AI, around new types of infrastructure in enterprises, and connectivity. The 5G connectivity is one of the key components of making that successful. We are happy and excited from T-Mobile to be able to provide that 5G connectivity out to enterprises all across the country, but also to consumer services on a scale that no one else is capable to do, because we have this 5G advantage and our 5G network. So thank you very much for having me on this webinar. I'm very excited to be part of this.
Thank you very much, Ulf, for an excellent presentation and a very rich experience with T-Mobile and the amazing evolution from one generation to the next. Few questions, if I may.
Sure.
In the 5G deployment, is it standalone, non-standalone, a mix?
It's a standalone. So the whole core is standalone. The whole radio access is. We're using a 4-carrier aggregation today, which I believe we are first in the world with using 4-carrier aggregation. This is not trials, this is real in the entire network. We are on the brink of what the devices can actually do. So we're waiting for more devices to be 4-carrier ag capable. After that, we will move to 5-carrier ag. We're using carrier aggregation in the uplink as well, in the radio access. So it's a very advanced implementation we have and on a massive scale.
Fantastic. Could you perhaps speak to some of the business cases or the deployment business cases around 5G? Because that seems to be a topic that many operators are discussing.
Yeah, we were very excited to launch a new service. You've probably heard about it, but it's fixed wireless service we launched already back 2 years ago. And we didn't know the potential of this, but we have disrupted this market. It was, again, the typical Un-carrier move in the way that the cable companies here in the US was dominating the home internet market with the high prices and perhaps not so exciting service. So we decided to go all in on fixed wireless. And we came out with offerings that was very, very, very competitive. We have now reached almost 5 million customers on this service, which is just fantastic growth. We have become the largest and fastest growing broadband supplier in the US market. Which was to everybody's big surprise. And I think that's a good litmus test of one service on 5G that really has worked extremely well.
Fantastic. Could you speak maybe to the fiber optic infrastructure supporting the network and its growth?
Right. Today we are leasing our backhaul to the absolute most extent. We have none of our own. It has turned out, though, that it's worked very well out for us, because it turned out that there is a lot of capacity in fiber optics. There are many, many companies that are deploying it, and which has led to a very competitive landscape among fiber suppliers. And that means that for us to move in to have a fiber to every one of our sites, and moving up to 10 gig links has not really been a problem. We have been able to do that in a very cost-efficient manner. We are constantly reviewing our backhaul strategy and making sure that we are always having enough bandwidth for every one of our sites. But as we know, traffic is growing and growing, so we need to make sure that we stay on the right strategy for that. I'm glad to say that so far it has paid off very well to be independent when it comes to this backhaul.
Great. Maybe final question around, you mentioned a bit on AI and machine learning. Could you maybe talk a bit more about how AI is helping you manage the network and manage the customers, if any, or any other applications of AI and machine learning?
Right. We started already a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, to start to implement our own AI implementations here. As you know, I don't know if you know, but in Washington State and Bellevue here, there are a couple of other companies that are pretty good at AI too. One of them is Microsoft, and the other one is Amazon. So we are sort of at the center boiling point in the US where AI is being talked about. So way before it was even talked about globally in the way it is talked about today, we were very early on to start to adopt that. We started to look at implementations that we can use in the network tuning side, the network optimization side, the route optimization of driving to sites, alarm correlation, where we are using it today. But we're also using it for customer care, for troubleshooting and customer care. If someone calls our care center, they will be able to run an automatic test of what is wrong with if there are any technical issues on the devices or the person, etc. So we're using AI in a very broad way. But this is just the beginning, I think. The biggest transformation is going to be when AI comes onto devices, when AI in a larger scale. I was very curious when I was at the last Mobile World Congress to see if there was any larger movement on that. I think I was a little bit disappointed. I didn't see enough, but I think there's going to be a lot more happening in this area in the next few years, which should make the edge compute capabilities of networks like our own very relevant.
Ulf, thank you very much for your questions, answering the questions, for your presentation. And now I'll turn it over to Alessia for the Wisdom Corner.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bilel, and thank you for this very interesting talk. So now it's time to move to maybe if you can stay, maybe also with your camera on, Mr. Ewaldsson. So I will start the Wisdom Corner, which is based upon the idea to give a unique and special angle to this series of webinars, adding a personal touch. So if you agree, I will start with my first question. So I would like to ask you, which is your hard-earned life lesson, or even failure, if you want to call it this way, that you would like to share with us that you had in your career that might help someone attending the webinar today?
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting question. And my career is quite long nowadays. I've been in telecommunications for 35 years. It's been a fantastic journey, though. One thing for young students who are graduating now, and for a while I was chairman of the Royal Institute of Technology, which is the best technology university in Northern Europe, highest ranked. And I was very honored to have that chairmanship. And I met many, many students at the time who were sharing the difficulties of making the right choices from the beginning. And I would say that a good pick is to go where you think it is going to get exciting. When I left university, I thought that wireless might get exciting, and it was right. So it's to follow your intuition and go with the mainstream. I would say is another good advice. If you end up on a very corner technology, it's harder. I mean, I would say that it's go with the mainstream. Wireless is just as exciting today as it was, I think. There is tremendous new opportunities. Then the journey is always going to be bumpy. For me, it was bumpy. I was all over the world for a while. I came back to Ericsson to drive the radio business, which was back to my roots of engineering, and then later left Ericsson and went into be part of an operator that I think is probably the most exciting journey that I just told of from challenger in the market to become champion in the market. So I would another good thing is to take the chance when it comes, but there's always a saying that if you are well prepared, chance will also always benefit you. So be prepared and take the chance.
Thank you. Actually, my second question is linked to this one. In which field, if there's any specific that you would like to mention, which topics maybe you would recommend students to study, if there's any current specific trends or emerging areas in the research world that you find particularly exciting or promising?
Well, there's going to be an enormous shortage of data scientists, and obviously, as we're moving into AI. Programming is under a lot of change, so that's an area almost I would almost avoid a little bit, because it's changing so much that maybe even what you learn. At the same time, it's always good to know things of even how automated processes works in reality. So that could be something. I would say a combination between a heavy focus on engineering as well as some business acumen is probably a good combination.
Great, thank you. Very good advice. And how will, in your opinion, the generative AI impact the future of research, but everyone's life in general? How do you see the future?
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? Today we can write prompts to figure out almost anything. I think companies that are heavy dependent on search algorithms, I'm not mentioning any companies, but those will change a lot. The generative AI is taking over the way we can write documents or the way we can present things, but at the same time also making it less advanced. It almost looks all the same. So I would say to be specific on prompt writing is probably a good skill to have in the future. I'm practicing even my own prompt writing, so because it's such an important thing to have nowadays.
Wonderful. We started with a failure experience, but can you tell us now one of the most tangible contributions that you have made in your career that had a direct impact on your life, on others' life, that you're most proud of?
Wow. Yeah. I think, some of the big transitions when I was at Ericsson was very, very exciting. Especially when I had the chance to run the radio business for Ericsson. I transformed that, introduced lean and agile, was able to produce, what I would say a very competitive strategy that still lasts today for Ericsson as a company. Then joining T-Mobile, this was the most exciting experience I've ever had in my life, and it didn't make it worse when they also bought Sprint and we merged and created this fantastic new company, and have the boy dream or girl dream, boy dream in my case, come true, that you could actually spend all that money to build the best 5G network, and having been part of standardizing 5G originally, and see what the transformational impact it has on people's lives. I think we can't imagine how much people are dependent on mobile phones almost. It's like everything in many markets, and here in the US, it's you can't do anything without mobile phone. You can't go to a ball game, you can't go to the doctor, you can't go to the bank, you can't do anything without mobile phone. And then in the background, I always think, wow, it's us doing that. We're doing it, and that's very, very cool. So it's both personal and a nice experience. Then I would say, just on a personal touch afterwards, how do you teach your children how to use this stuff? I have a challenge at home to tell my daughter that, yeah, dad did all this stuff, but you can't use too much of it because it's super dangerous. So you have to balance the usage of these amazing tools that are transforming people's lives and society with a balance, and you have to bring that home and you have to bring it to work.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you so much for sharing all these. Very, very last question. How do you stay up to date with with research, with the latest developments and advance in the ICT field. Is there any specific resource, journal, conference, or book or community that you would recommend to young researchers or to students to engage with?
For me, that secret is that is a very important thing. So I meet people. I meet and talk to people like Onoe-san, like friends that I have in the industry, and I meet and I learn from people. I think you can read so much, but there is so much published. You know, we're overwhelmed with published. So the best thing is to meet the people that I think are really smart, and that's very good. I have a lot of friends that are a lot smarter than me. So then I meet them and I ask them about things and I learn things and then I move on. And then I pair that with something else that I learned from someone else. So, but that was a secret, just between you and me.
But of course, if we are open, we all learn from each other. Definitely. Thank you so much. I would like Onoe-san and Bilel, if they want to come back for our closing and for our big thanks to our speaker. Onoe-san, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much for joining us. And I'm very happy to join you today from Romania. Now I'm in Romania. So then I understood that your answer in the Barcelona MWC, you asked me many questions. That's your secret.
That's why. This is explanation, Onoe-san.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.